Hello, Morocco. I'm at Bondi Coffee Kitchen in Casablanca to interview the Yakines, an inspiring Moroccan couple who travel the world. They're going to share about their latest adventure, the world's longest train journey. They're going to talk about how they find the money to do all this, and are they ever planning to get jobs, settle down, have kids? And if that's not the plan, then what's the next big adventure? All that's coming up. So thank you guys so much for being here and for taking the time. We're excited to hear more about your journey and about your life and be inspired by your story.
My first big experience walking around Morocco for 2 years from Dakhla to Tangier, and it was about 5,000 kilometers, and I made a lot of zigzags that I can visit lot of regions of Morocco.
Yeah.
And we met in Rabat, so in the middle of my trip.
So not many people know Morocco as well as you do. You've seen it all. It's incredible. So what led you to want to join Anas?
So I went the first time to walk with him from Kenitra to Meknes. It's
130 kilometers.
Wow. So how long?
1 week.
1 week.
1 week, yeah.
So how many kilometers is that per day? That's 20 kilometers a day?
It all depends on the day, because sometimes we walk only 2 kilometers and sometimes it can be 20.
What was your experience that first trip? How did that lead to a life of travel together?
We had an amazing week. It was every day special, very special and very emotional, and very simple at the same time, because what was very different is that we were meeting simple people, and there was like a woman just stopping and giving us oranges, and that was really touching. And that kind of stories just change your way of thinking, and it was a life-changing experience for me, because I was studying in Rabat in a different world, and we just when we are too much in the routine and you have to study, you have to work, you have to do a lot of things, you forget about values, you forget about simple things that can really make life easier and better.
In Morocco there is magical expression, we say daifla, that means the guest of God. When you say daifla, people answer marhaba bdaifla, welcome
to Daifla,
and they think that they are the intermediates between God and the traveler, and all that they possess.
All that they possess, all that they have?
Yeah, it's from God, and that's why they give all the time. So
it's like they are choose to serve this traveler, and so that they can have like a
blessings from God or rewards from God.
And it's something that was very normal a few years ago, but now doesn't exist anymore. When you live in a big city, you don't know that.
True. Yeah. So when you get outside the city, you start to see this hospitality. That's so cool. There's a story actually that Jesus told, where he said somebody went to stand before God, and God said, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was naked, you gave me clothes. And when I was in jail, you came to visit me. And they said, Lord, when did we ever see you hungry? When did we ever see you in prison? And he said, whatever you did for the least, for the lowest of these people, you did it for me. So it's the same principle. After Meknes, what happened? You went back to school.
I went back to school, but I was always coming back to walk with him, because it was like a drug addict.
An addict.
I walked like
700 kilometers.
in the total, but it's not like 5,000. It's
Right. Yeah. But still, yeah. So was it at the beginning? It was travel and it was adventure, and then eventually it shifted to Ennis, the time together.
Exactly.
But what about your families? I mean, what do they think of this crazy traveling life that you're leading?
I was studying, and they had other plans for me. But when I just choose to have this different path, they needed time to understand and to know that we're not just traveling. It's not just that. It's more than just traveling, and it's a way of life, but it's also a work, a job. It's not easy to live from that, but it's possible. Right. So now with this last project, they get to understand a little bit more. So now it's better.
And I think that parents now should understand that with the internet there is new jobs and
new opportunities.
You were just on a big trip for 5-6 months. What were you doing in the years before that? What do you do in normal life? Do you have jobs? Or I'm sure others would wonder, how do you pay for everything? So you're not working jobs and saving up a big amount of money and then going and traveling and spending it all.
No.
How do you pay for a big trip?
We decide to become digital nomads and travel bloggers. So now we make some collaborations with some companies or some institutions like the Ministry of Tourism in Morocco.
What we do is to create content, digital content, and share it on our social medias.
With the companies, the big challenge is to find some companies that they are interested by travel. So, and the ecosystem in Morocco is not very
comprehensive. Not
but
helping. But we're dealing with it.
Shwia b'shwia.
Shwia.
So tell us about this last trip. Give us a little brief introduction.
The idea was to go from Lagos in the south of Portugal to Ho Chi Minh City in the south of Vietnam, and it's one railway, about 17,000 kilometers. Wow. And we found an article in the internet, so that talk about this experience, and after that we decide to
do it.
So how long between reading the article, deciding to do it, and leaving on the trip?
1 year.
1 year.
1 year. Yeah, 1 year to prepare a travel of 5 months.
So how many countries do you go through on that trip?
We crossed 12 countries.
12 countries.
Portugal, Spain, France, Belgium, Germany, Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Russia, Mongolia, China, and Vietnam.
Wow. And do you get to spend time in each of the countries?
For the first countries before Russia, we had to speed up a little bit because we wanted to be in Russia for the World Cup.
Right. Oh yes.
Morocco participates.
So were you traveling on a Moroccan passport?
Yeah.
And did you have any?
With all the difficulties.
It takes time and it takes money to have visas. And when we meet with other travelers, we feel that
foreigners from Europe or America, so
they have a chance that we don't have.
So, but you got all the visas and you did the trip that you were planning.
Yeah, and Chinese and Vietnamese visas are
more
easier for Moroccans.
So what was your favorite place that you visited on the trip?
Mongolia. Yeah.
So did you sleep on the train, or were you just on the train in the day and then you get off and stay in a
We
hotel?
had all kind of situations in the train. Yeah, sometimes the longest part was 54 hours
Yeah.
in the train.
2 days and
2
6
days and
hours.
6
Yeah. In the Trans-Siberian in Russia. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Trans-Siberian is.
It's an awesome experience.
Yeah. It's about 9,000 kilometers.
And it takes 1 week
What?
to get from the first. But we took only, we stopped in different
Cities. Yeah.
cities. And during these 54 hours, we didn't get bored at all.
Yeah.
We,
It was amazing.
Just looking out the window, you reading books, you talking?
We don't read books in our travels because for us the travel is a book. So, yeah.
So when you don't have someone to stay with, then you just stay at a hotel?
Yeah. Hostel or sometimes Airbnb or yeah.
So is that a lot of work to organize? You know when you're going to get off the train, you have to make plans for where you're going to sleep?
No,
that's
but
hard work. We get used to it, and we have our techniques. Yeah. No, but we were very specialized in that. If you need help.
Yeah. And sometimes we bought and sometimes we bought tickets, train tickets in the same day of our departure. So
How much money did you need to raise for a trip like this? How much does it cost to do something like that?
For train, I think we didn't dépenser. We didn't spend.
What idea?
Millions, donc 15 000 dirhams.
15,000.
Donc
$15,000?
15,000 dirhams. So
15,000 dirhams?
yeah, it's not
For the whole train?
Yeah.
For the train tickets.
Train tickets.
From all the way,
Yeah.
17,000 kilometers.
Yeah. And we are very
17,000
professional.
kilometers, 15,000
Yeah.
dirhams. So less than
So
one dirham per
for-
kilometer.
Yeah.
That's a good price.
Yeah.
That's
And,
incredible.
I think it's very cheap than Moroccan trade.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And for eating and nights.
For eating, we prepare a lot of time we prepare our food. So, yeah.
And we don't spend more than
more than 100 dirhams for
per night.
Per night.
So we are
very minimalist.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, you can do so much more like that.
Yeah. And this is a message for people that they follow us that we don't need a lot of money to live some
great experience.
Yeah, some adventures.
Yeah.
You guys, have gone all across the world, and it didn't cost a fortune.
Yeah.
You know, you're living simply, and you have your techniques to save money,
Exactly,
and it's incredible what you can do. Yeah. So, do you have any other advice for people who might be thinking, I would love to do that, but it's not possible. My parents, money, visas, it's not possible.
I know that in Morocco it's very difficult, and I think that they should believe in their dreams. So, and a lot of Moroccans se victimise sometimes. So.
How can we say?
Victimization. So
They have like a victim mentality.
Yeah. So I think when you believe in your dream and when you
really want something.
we can say persevere. Yeah. I think
you find a way
it works.
To
So and what we do, we are not a rich couple or rich family. We know that it's difficult, but we try to do it with all
the means we have.
Any way possible.
Yeah.
So you guys have had to persevere to get sponsors. You spent 1 year planning the trip, but not just organizing, but putting together your dossier and then approaching companies and sponsors.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a story about that? Because some people might get rejected, or a company says no, and they'll say, see, it's not possible. You must have heard some no's, and you had to keep going.
Yeah, I think while traveling, we learned a good lesson, which is فيها خير. When we everything that happens for a reason, and
for
behind
good reason,
it there's a good reason. So even with sponsors, it's the same thing. When a sponsor don't get it and don't understand.
They don't understand that it's a collaboration. It's a job.
Win-win situation.
So what is next for you guys? You've just finished a huge trip. What are you doing now, and what's coming up?
So we have a lot of ideas, but now we try to
focus on the web series.
series.
The production of the web series. Okay. So we don't want to think about something else. When you start thinking, you get lost.
But we think maybe all Africa.
Walking.
Cycling.
Yeah. Whoa, that's cool.
We try to experience some different ways of traveling. We experience walking, traveling by tuk-tuk, by train, by car, and by cycling. Maybe it will be our
next experience.
So do you think you'll ever settle down and just buy a house and have kids and get jobs?
Get jobs? No, it's our job.
Yeah, it's our job.
You know what I mean? Normal jobs.
Stability, and I don't think, because we are doing what we love, and we are very satisfied by our choice. We will travel with our kids, and now we get to be inspired by other families that they
did the same choice.
With kids.
And for their education, for example,
we opt for homeschooling.
And we meet a lot of parents that they choose this alternative way of education for their children, and we get to be inspired by.
We believe that even for our child, traveling is the best at school. So
and we think that we are sure that we are not the first or the last family that
made this choice.
So it's possible.
So we'll be between Morocco and other parts of the world.
What's some of the biggest opposition you face? Are there some common ideas that you see in Morocco that you'd love to see change?
I think that the biggest problem of Moroccan mentality is that we don't accept each other. So when I choose this way of life, in my beginning I received a lot of negative message and negative reaction from lots of Moroccans. So not only they didn't accept my choice, but sometimes they insults me, my parents. So
But our message, of course, is not to say that all people have to travel, but the message is to say that all people have to do something they love. There is also people that say that it's just a phase, and that after periodic choice, and after that we will change our mind and get into
when we will have kids
and get back to reality.
And they wait for.
They are waiting. They watch. But we don't think so.
You'll show them. You'll be on a little bicycle with your kid behind you. riding through African countries, and they'll say, I was wrong, I take it back. Wow, that's really cool.
They have this idea of stability and of...
But for us, the most important thing, it's not the physical stability, but the emotional stability. And if we find that our happiness, it's linked on our travel.
So if you stay in one place for too long, do you start to get depressed and
we have to move.
Yeah, like someone who needs a cigarette. I have to travel. I have to go on a trip. So the web series is coming out in November, and then maybe something else in 2019. We'll see.
Probably,
Sure.
Okay, well, we're going to watch, and we'll put a link to where they can see the YouTube video. And I want to say thank you guys so much for telling your story, for taking your time to share with us, and for being such an inspiration to Moroccans. Not just with the travel lifestyle, but your web series is going to show other alternative ways of doing business, of doing education, of living life. And that's expanding the possibilities. As young Moroccans follow you, they start to see, wow, there's more choices than I thought. And that's exciting.
It's my first interview in English.
This is really thank you. What an inspiring story. The Yakines prove that anything is possible and we should all be doing what we love. They overcome obstacles like visa challenges and money issues and opposition from family and society. They persevere and they achieve their dreams. So if you're a young Moroccan and you've got a dream that seems difficult, it is possible. Not easy, but possible. Check out the web series Alternatives the Yakines are putting out on their YouTube channel, and you can follow them on Facebook and on Instagram. Thanks again to our hosts, Bondi Coffee Kitchen, the best place in Casablanca to have a coffee or a delicious lunch. Until next time, get wisdom.